ABC General Hospital spoilers reveal that I remember when Kristina first burst onto the scene as a fiery teenager, full of that Corinthos spirit mixed with her mother Alexis's sharp wit, and watching her grow into the woman she is today has been one of the true joys of sticking with this soap through every rewrite and recast. But what's unfolding now, with her sudden decision to apply to medical school, isn't just another young adult rebellion. It's a desperate bid for control over something far bigger than escaping the shadow of her father's world. You see, I've always admired how the show weaves personal secrets into the larger canvas of Port Charles' power struggles, and Kristina's choice feels like a masterstroke of that tradition. She's not simply running from the Corinthos name or the endless cycle of threats that seem to follow Sunny's family like a storm cloud. No. There's a deeper layer here, a hidden health battle she's been carrying alone, one that's forcing her to confront her own mortality in ways that echo some of the show's most heartbreaking medical arcs, but with a twist that feels uniquely hers. When Molly stumbles across that medical file tucked among the admissions paperwork, it's like the ground shifts under everyone. I've seen sisterly bonds tested on General Hospital countless times. Think back to the old rivalries and reconciliations that kept us viewers up at night. But this explosion between Kristina and Molly carries a different weight. It's not born from jealousy or old grudges. It's rooted in love mixed with shock and a fierce protectiveness that makes their confrontation feel so real, so lived in. Kristina finally admitting she wants to save herself before it's too late. That line landed like a quiet thunderclap for me. It humanizes her in a way that reminds me why I fell in love with these characters decades ago. They're flawed, they're fighting invisible wars, and they're doing it while the whole town watches. What really has me pacing my living room during commercial breaks is how Sunny's reaction pulls the whole Davis-Corinthos web tighter. He spots her abrupt departure and immediately assumes the worst, that some rival or old enemy is circling his daughter again. It's classic Sunny, that protective instinct honed from years of mob entanglements, and yet, here it is, ironically shoving Kristina right back into the very power plays she's trying to outrun in her search for peace. I've watched Sunny evolve from the hot-headed enforcer to the more reflective family man, but this suspicion of his feels like a callback to those intense 90s and early 2000s arcs where every shadow hid a threat. Only now, the real danger isn't external. It's the truth Kristina's been guarding about her health, a revelation that could upend the entire Davis family dynamic and force Alexis to stare down her greatest fear, the possibility of losing another child in a way no courtroom battle or legal maneuver could fix. Alexis has always been the rock, the fierce advocate who's battled her own demons with addiction and loss. But this strikes at the heart of what makes her tick as a mother. I keep asking myself as I sit with my afternoon tea and replay the scenes in my mind, how long can she hold it together before the truth spills out and changes everything? The show answers that question with such careful pacing that it feels like we're all holding our breath alongside her. And let's talk about how this storyline is proving itself as one of those smart adjustments the writers have been making lately, refining the family sagas without losing the emotional core that's kept General Hospital vital for over 60 years. Kristina's exit isn't some cheap exit ploy. It's layered with real stakes that mirror the kinds of health scares we've seen ripple through Port Charles before, like the quiet battles with illness that tested characters in the past. But this one stands apart because it's tied so tightly to her independence. She's not just a pawn in Sunny's world anymore. She's claiming agency in the most vulnerable way possible. And that shift feels earned after years of watching her navigate pregnancies, heartbreaks, and family loyalties. The way it's unfolding has me convinced the writers are listening to longtime viewers like me, who to suiteries that honor the history while pushing forward. It's not about shock for shock's sake. It's about the slow burn of consequences, the way one secret file can fracture and then, hopefully, heal a family. I find myself wondering aloud sometimes, while chatting with my sister on the phone about the latest episode, whether this health secret will finally bridge the gaps between the Davis women or widen them into something irreparable. The evidence is there in every tense glance and half-spoken confession. Kristina's determination to study medicine isn't escapism, it's survival. Molly's discovery forces her to grapple with being the good sister who suddenly holds the power to expose or protect, and that role reversal is pure General Hospital gold. Then there's Sunny, whose paranoia, while misguided, stems from a lifetime of real danger, inadvertently amplifying the very isolation Kristina seeks to escape. It all circles back to Alexis, whose past losses have shaped her into the resilient force we know, yet this could be the fear that truly tests her limits. The beauty of it is how the show makes these threads feel urgent and alive, like the next episode could drop a bombshell that alters the landscape forever. What keeps drawing me back, week after week, is that unmistakable heat, the sense that something monumental is simmering just beneath the surface, ready to boil over and pull in half the town. Port Charles has always thrived on these interconnected crises, where one woman's private struggle becomes everyone's concern, and Kristina's arc is delivering that in spades. It's not overwhelming or dark in a way that drains you. Instead, it's hopeful, laced with the possibility of growth and second chances that soap operas do better than anyone. I've seen characters face terminal diagnoses, hidden paternities, and mob wars that tore families apart. But this combination of personal health terror and familial misunderstanding feels like a fresh chapter that respects the past while carving out new territory. Kristina isn't running away forever. She's running toward a future she's determined to claim on her own terms. And that resilience is inspiring, even at my age. As the days roll on and new episodes air, I catch myself smiling at how seamlessly the writers have integrated this into the larger tapestry, reminders of old alliances, echoes of past medical emergencies, all building toward what feels like an inevitable reckoning. Will the truth about Kristina's condition mend the rifts with Molly before resentment takes root? Can Sunny step back long enough to see the real enemy isn't outside the family, but inside her own body? And how will Alexis, that unbreakable lawyer and mother, confront the terror of watching history threaten to repeat itself? These aren't just plot points, they're the heartbeat of why I've stayed loyal all these decades. The show keeps proving it can deliver tension that feels earned, characters that evolve without losing their essence, and stories that leave you counting the hours until the next cliffhanger. In the end, this chapter, with Kristina's departure and the secrets unraveling around it, is exactly why General Hospital remains must-watch television for those of us who've walked every mile of these Port Charles. It's difficult, yes, watching a beloved young woman fight so hard for peace amid such uncertainty, but it's also exhilarating, filled with the kind of quiet strength and surprising alliances that make the wait worthwhile. I'm right here, notepad in hand, ready for whatever comes next, because if there's one thing I've learned after all these years, it's that the best twists are the ones that remind us why family, in all its messy glory, is worth every emotional roller coaster. And right now, the heat is on, the stakes are climbing, and I wouldn't miss a single moment of it. The possibility that she's facing a dangerous new illness adds a layer of genuine tension that I find both heartbreaking and compelling. I've watched countless health crises sweep through Port Charles over the years, some resolved in weeks, others lingering like old scars. But this one feels like a fresh adjustment the show is making to keep things raw and relevant. It proves the writers are obsessed now with these intimate, slow-burn personal battles that force characters to confront mortality without the usual explosions or courtroom theatrics. Kristina's secret isn't just about hiding symptoms or dodging family questions. It's about her fierce need to claim control over her own body before time slips away. That kind of vulnerability, stretched across months of her being away, makes every update from her feel like a lifeline. I catch myself asking during commercial breaks whether this new disease will test her in ways even her Corinthos blood couldn't prepare her for, and the answer unfolding on screen is yes, quietly, powerfully, and without easy outs. What really has my heart racing is how these truths are steadily darkening Sunny in a way that feels earned and chilling. He's always carried that protective edge, but now, With each fragmented report from Kristina's new life, his suspicion is turning inward and outward at once, casting longer shadows over his decisions. The revelations about her health aren't softening him. They're sharpening something darker, more obsessive, inside the man we've known for so long. I remember Sonny in his younger days, when every threat had a face and a name he could confront head-on. This time the enemy is invisible, inside his daughter, and that helplessness is pushing him toward choices that make me worry for the man he might become. The story is moving farther out, expanding beyond the familiar Port Charles streets into uncharted emotional territory, and it's proving one of the smartest new adjustments we've seen in years. The writers seem obsessed with exploring how far a father's love can twist when it collides with the unknown, and Sonny's growing intensity is the living proof. I've seen the Davis family bend and nearly break before, but this extended separation is testing those bonds in fresh ways. Molly's discovery of the medical file already cracked things open. Yet, with Kristina staying away, the silence between the sisters is becoming its own character-heavy, unresolved, and full of what-ifs. Alexis, that steadfast force of nature, must be pacing her kitchen at night just as I imagine her doing on screen, wondering how much longer she can hold the family together without knowing the full extent of her daughter's fight. The show is letting these gaps linger, and it only heightens the heat. Each new clue about Kristina's condition feels like another log on the fire, making Sonny's darker turns feel inevitable yet still surprising. As a viewer who spent more afternoons with these characters than I care to count, I appreciate how this storyline honors the past while carving out something new. It's not repeating old illnesses or recycled mob threats, it's obsessing over the quiet courage it takes to face an internal battle far from home. Kristina's absence isn't diminishing the drama, it's amplifying it, forcing everyone to evolve in her shadow. Sonny's deepening darkness isn't a sudden heel turn. It's the natural consequence of love meeting fear, and it's pulling the whole canvas tighter. I find myself smiling through the worry, because General Hospital is doing what it does best, making us care so deeply that the days between episodes feel too long.